We are starting another rather complex section, asynchronous and reactive programming. Here we'll study coroutines and flows. What they are and what they are for, I'll explain with examples right away. So let's create a new project and call it Coroutines. In this project, we will need to add certain dependencies. So we choose the Gradle build system and click Create. We wait for a while until the project is built. While the project is built, here we'll write an application that imitates loading data from the internet. I'm gonna run my implementation so that you can see how the application should work. We start the program. And here is the small application. It has a timer and a load book button. When you click on it, it becomes inactive. And here a message appears saying loading book information. When the book is loaded, the information about this book is displayed. Its title, release year, and genre. And then a line appears saying loading author information. And after that, the author of the book and their brief description are shown. Once all the data has been loaded and displayed on the screen, the button becomes active again. If you click it one more time, the same text will be displayed again. The book is reloaded, the author's information is loaded again, and it's shown on the screen. As before, we'll create the user's interface using Swing. We'll have several versions of this application, so each one will be made in its own package. We open the model main, the Kotlin folder. Here I have a package to show you the final version. You don't need it. We add a package where we'll work. The first implementation of our application will use the callback mechanism. What this mechanism is will be explained later. But now we name the package callbacks, so that later you can return to it and see how the implementation with callbacks looked. Inside this package, we create a class display, which will represent the program window. Let it be an object, so that there are no multiple identical displays in one program. You're watching a video from our Kotlin programming course. I have left a link to the full version of the course as well as the biggest discount available in the video description and in the pinned comment. Enjoy watching. And we'll add all the necessary components. First, this program has a text field, where we display information. Let's add it. Private val. We'll call it info area. Area for information. You can give it any other name. And we create an object, jTextArea. You may have noticed that you cannot edit the text in this field. That's why you need to set the property is editable to false. We'll do it right away. To configure the object after its creation, we use the higher order function apply. And here we set is editable to false. Then in this program window, we have a button with the text load book. And the component responsible for creating the button is jButton. Let's create it. We'll name it load button. Then we create an object jButton. Inside the parentheses, we can specify in quotation marks the text that will appear on the button. We'll display load book. Next, we need to add a timer. This can be done in different ways. You could also use a text field, but a label element works best here. Let's add it. We'll call it timer label and use the component jLabel. In the parentheses in quotation marks, we can specify the initial text. Initially, the time is set to all zeros. We specify it here in quotes. Now things get a little more complex. Note that the timer and the button are located at the top part of the screen, the timer on the left and the button on the right. To achieve this behavior, we can add another element called a panel. The panel itself will be located at the top of the screen, and the elements inside this panel will be placed to the left and right. Let's add it. And this is our top panel, so we give it the corresponding name. To create a panel, we use the component jPanel. Here in parentheses, we need to specify a layout manager. It's responsible for how elements are arranged inside the panel. To allow elements to be positioned anywhere, top, right, left, and so on, we use the layout manager border layout. Let's pass it. We create a border layout instance. We are not studying Swing in detail, only using the minimum needed to learn new topics, since in practice usually other tools are used for user interfaces. Depending on which area of development you choose, you'll be able to study what you need. And if you want to get into backend, In the UI development won't be needed at all. If we've specified border layout as a layout manager, then when adding components to this element, to this panel, we can specify the direction where to place the object. Let's do that. We configure the object immediately after its creation using the function apply. And here we specify which components we want to add to this panel. First, we want to add the timer. We call the function add, pass in timer label, and the second parameter should specify the direction. We want the timer label to be located on the left side of the screen. The directions here are not named the way we are used to, like left, right, top, or bottom. And they are named by cardinal directions, north, south, west, and east. We want the timer to be on the left. If you look at the map, it's the west on the left, so we specify the west direction. For this we'll use constants, and they are located in the class border layout, and we specify the value west. The second component that should be on the panel is the button. We also add it using the function add, specify the button, and we'll place it on the right. On the right we have east. We specify border layout east. Now all the created objects need to be placed in one window. For this we create a JFrame object. This will be the main window of the program. Let's call it main frame. We create a JFrame object, and in parentheses, in quotes, we can specify the name that will appear here at the top of the screen. Let's specify that this is information about the book and the author. And then we need to configure somehow this window. We call the function apply. Just like in the panel, we would like to place elements in different parts of the screen. For this, we can specify a layout manager. We access the property layout and set the same value, border layout. We can copy it, and the elements inside this frame will arrange already according to the cardinal directions. We add the top panel, which already has the timer and the button. The top panel will be placed at the top, and if you look at the cardinal directions, it's north. We specify border layout north. And then in the center of the screen, we want to place the text field, info area. If the text in this field is very long, it needs to be scrolled. So instead of info area, we add the component JScrollPane. We've done something like this before. We add a scrollable container, inside which will be the text field, info area, and we place it in the center. We specify border layout center, and now so that when program runs, we don't have a very small window, we'll set its width and height. This is controlled by the property size. We create an object dimension and pass width and height into it. Let's say 400 by 300. You can specify your own size, if this don't suit you for some reason. And let's add the method show, which will set the visibility of this frame to true. We access the property is visible and set the value to true. To test our program, let's create a file test in the same package. We'll add an entry point to the program, and here we access the object display from the package callbacks and call its method show. We run the program. Everything's fine. We see the program window. It has a button which currently does nothing when clicked, and there is a timer where time doesn't change yet. The program window is ready. In the next lesson, we will start adding logic to the program. So far, there has been nothing particularly new for you. We just created the program window, and that we'll be working with further. Once you've created it and launched it, you can move on. See you in the next lesson.